Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our Talks with Walt, as we are calling our readings through the deathbed edition of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. We turned now to a poem as I watched the Ploughman Ploughing, poem number 17 of the 18 of Whispers of Heavenly Death. So we are coming to the end, and as we've commented in so many of our cluster studies of Leaves of Grass, it's always interesting to see how Whitman will finish this set of poems that we call a cluster today. And in this one, we're going to go back to a very old image. It is an image that today, unfortunately, most of us, although we do live in an agrarian community, most of us though don't have the image in our mind of an individual with that plow standing behind some kind of beast of burden or animal, being pulled and pushing through the ground. We immediately think of Burns's To a Mouse and the way in which he has to apologize to a mouse for tearing up his house because he's plowed it up. And of course, plowing is going to be a central image in Leaves of Grass because of the growing motif. So we're going to ask, why is this poem going to end up in Whispers of Heavenly Death? And by the time we finish with the 4 lines of this poem, we'll have some good sense of it. Now, our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side, Talks with Walt, our playlist, and that you've been with us from the very first word come, all the way through the inscriptions poems, Song of Myself, and all the other poems to come. We gave a set of introductory comments to Whispers of Heavenly Death I'm hopeful that you've already paid attention to, and we just finished with that amazing little poem, The Last Invocation. Now, our Nortons, as we are referencing our Nortons for each one of these poems, will tell us that this poem was first published in the 1871 Passage to India, again in that supplement in Leaves of Grass 1872 and 2 Rivulets of 1876, and finally in Leaves of Grass 1881, each time in the cluster Whispers of Heavenly Death. Remaining unchanged, it's one of the most successfully sustained of Whitman's little gnomic poems, the entire structure being a harmonious, functional vehicle for the fundamental aphorism of line 4. And think about the power of the idea of plowing as it relates to a collection of poems called Leaves of Grass. Let's enjoy the poem. As I watched the Ploughman Ploughing. As I watched the Ploughman ploughing, or the sower sowing in the fields, or the harvester harvesting, I saw there too, O life and death, your analogies. Life is the tillage, and death is the harvest according. Now, think about the construction as I, for example, go back to the very first poems of Leaves of Grass, and poem number 2 was what? As I pondered in silence. So it is a construction that we are hearing a number of times. The Ploughman Ploughing, of course, plowing is used over and over again. 5 times up to now it's been used in Leaves of Grass. And this idea of watching is, of course, one of the central motifs of all of Leaves of Grass. And again, it gives way to that notion of Whitman as being the curious poet, the curious artist. I want to try and figure stuff out. Notice, I'm watching the Ploughman Ploughing, and this idea of the Ploughman Ploughing would take Whitman's readers back, because they knew it so well, to the story of Odysseus. You'll maybe recall from our studies at learnstrong.net, Odysseus doesn't want to go off to fight at the walls of Troy because of his beautiful wife Penelope and his newly born son Telemachus. And so what is it that he does? He pretends like he's crazy. And how does he prove he's crazy? By going out and plowing in his fields and distributing salt instead of seed. Now, this idea of plowing, then, is a very, very old one. Whitman's audience would have immediately as well been tuned into that idea of the famous parable of the sower of Matthew 13. And we'll have more to say about that here in a little bit when we get to 3a. Notice, as I watched the Ploughman ploughing, or the sower sowing in the fields, or the harvester harvesting, in other words, these movements on the farm, the agrarian movement that we obviously are familiar with it still because we live here. Sadly, many of the readers of Leaves of Grass, they've never really been exposed to that idea. You have to till up the ground, you have to sow the seed, then you have to wait for the harvest to come. In other words, it's a cyclical process. And now we come back from I watched to I saw. I saw there too. Then the use of the word oh, we've seen this already in the previous poem even. O life and death, your analogies. Now this idea of analogies will take the readers of Whitman's day 2 places. One to their Plato, obviously the analogies of texts in the dialogues like Republic. And then obviously to especially the biblical gospel parables where Christ is constantly making all of these analogies. So now Whitman is going to speak in almost priest-like language with his analogies. Only the way he's going to do it is in a parenthetic. Notice the parentheses. He says it this way. Life. Life is the tillage. Only use of that word in all leaves of grass happens right here. And death is the harvest according. Now, you cannot really, you can't read a set of lines like this if you've read all leaves of grass up to this point and not be reminded that in Song of Myself, passage 1, he says that he's observing a spear of summer grass. And then by Song of Myself, passage 9, you'll remember the dried grass of the harvest time loads the slow drama along. You'll remember this set of lines, right? That is to say, the slow-drawn wagon with the heavy grass, so that you've got the early grass. I'm observing a spear of summer grass, and by passage 9, well, we're cutting the grass because it's harvest time. And this obviously becomes one of the powerful analogies of what it means to live a life. In other words, we are begotten, born, and dies, is the way that Yeats says it in Sailing to Byzantium. And here we're playing a very similar kind of game with a word picture that is going to be ubiquitous for Whitman and his time and for his audience. Well, what are we going to say at 2a about a little poem like this? Well, I think that death and life, Whitman would argue, must be seen as together. Synchronicity comes to mind here. At 2b, I love the power of the title, Leaves of Grass. In some ways, it's only now, as we begin to get to the last, poems of Leaves of Grass, that we really begin to appreciate that he called his collection Leaves of Grass. At 3a, obviously I've already mentioned Song of Myself 1 in the observing a spear of summer grass. Odysseus is pretending to be mad by sowing, and of course, go back to your Homer and your Iliad and your Odyssey, and go back to Virgil's Aeneid. We've given full lectures on every book at learnstrong.net, and it's fun to do this. Just pick up those 3 volumes and just read every time there's mentioning of harvesting or of sowing or of plowing. It's fascinating to see it that way. I mentioned it earlier. Whitman's audience would pick up very quickly that Whitman was channeling the voice of Christ and the parable of the sower, as it's referred to in Matthew 13, 1 through 9, and then later in 18 through 23. The idea that a sower went out to sow and sowed seed on different parts of types of ground, and the seed did not always grow. Certainly Whitman's audience would have immediately known this. Finally, at 3b, speaking of analogies, is this a comforting analogy to you? In other words, out of death comes life. Therefore, we understand, this is why he calls his collection of poems Leaves of Grass. I hope that these readings are giving you some comfort. Thank you.